It started at 3:30, got done at 8:15. I only got one block in. Come here. Well, it's mostly older people.
Commonwealth?
So hopefully a few of the other blocks go a little quicker. Hopefully. But you should go down the first block at Commonwealth. There's like 11 of my signs and one George and one Wilson. It looks awesome.
Hey, welcome to Thinking Real Estate. We are thinking real estate today.
We are here.
I think we're thinking.
We're thinking about it.
What's going on? Laura Dwyer-Slecki, Jackie Austin today.
Hello.
Oh, that was deep.
Was it?
Yeah.
I guess it was.
So interest rates are up just a smidgen, according to this
really?
article. They've gone
Who knew?
from 4 to 4.02. So
That's,
not a much.
that is a smidgen.
I know. Not enough to really worry about. Jackie Rice, our young miner, there's something in there about the 15-year rate.
15-year fixed mortgage slipped from 3.23 to 3.21.
So that went down and
So it made up for that 0.02.
right, exactly. I wonder what that would calculate out to difference, and
Like pennies, I think.
we can do it real quick. Anyhow.
No, let's not do that again.
Yeah, you.
Well, I actually bought the software for
You
my,
better.
so I know
Okay.
it's correct this time. And that debacle won't happen again.
That was crazy.
I promise.
So.
But anyhow, I thought I would talk about multiple offers and how someone can increase their likelihood, because good properties are selling quickly. We just listed one on North Durand.
Yep.
And, excuse me, we just listed one on North Durand for $59.9 on Friday, I think it went in the, and we've already had multiple showings on it. Because it's listed right and it's move-in ready. 3 bedrooms, I might as well tell you the details now.
Sure.
3 bedrooms, 1 bath, new carpet, new paint, new flooring in the kitchen, and I think in the bathroom, new counters in the kitchen. Just power wash the exterior. You don't have to do anything to it.
It's very
And
cute.
it's listed for 114 North Durand, listed for $59.9. So when you do a property like that and you get it priced right, it's going to get multiple offers in a short period of time. So so I've got like 12 tips for people.
Oh,
Okay?
you want to take a call first?
Sure.
Okay, you're on with Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
I think you know who this is. I've been leaving you messages. You don't return the call. For some way, running from there, I would expect you to return phone calls.
I don't know who this is. I can't hear you.
Just Miss Schoolboy. I left you 5 messages.
Oh,
Okay.
You don't
Well,
return
she'll call you back.
so
Tips.
the
12 tips.
12 tips. Earnest money, increase the earnest money deposit. If you do a hefty earnest money deposit, then they'll show you're serious about it. And hefty might depend on the price of the property. So I just wrote an offer on a cute little house it was only 22. We came together on a house price for $22,000, but a hefty earnest money deposit on that might be $1,000 or $2,000 just because of the percentage of the price of the property. If
So what happens to the money if the deal falls through?
As long as there's as long as it's as a result of the buyer not walking simply because they don't want the house anymore, if there's a contingency that goes away from it, so the contingency on home inspection.
Yeah, so if you do your home inspection, you find something you really don't like, that will get you an out, so you get your earnest money back. Financing, if you have trouble getting your financing, there are some others that can go in there. Those are the two biggest, I think.
Right,
usually.
and financing stays, at least in our purchase agreements, the financing contingency stays on until the day of closing, until we actually close, which, in my mind isn't necessarily a good thing if you're representing the seller, but these are ideas for the buyer to show that they're a strong purchaser. But the earnest money deposit, at least the way we write it, and other offices do different things, are held with the title company, so it's a third party. And in order for it to be released, both sides of the deal, both the buyer and seller have to agree to release the earnest money deposit, even if it fell through as a result of a contingency not going together.
Now, does that go toward the deal?
When it closes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're paying $22,000 for a property and you do a $2,000 earnest money, you're just going to have to bring your other closing costs and $20,000 to the table, because the $2,000 will go towards the purchase price. So the next thing would be verification of the funds, whether it's a strong letter from a bank that says these people are ready to go, all they got to do is find a house, and it will also be contingent on an appraisal of the property, or if it's cash, showing that you have the cash in the bank account. And that's standard. It didn't used to be standard years ago, but now that's pretty standard, and the reason it became standard is all the bank foreclosures that came around.
That was a good thing that came out of the foreclosure crisis, is the banks required it, so then it just kind of became standard practice for everybody. And, I tell buyers nowadays, don't even want to look at houses until you have your pre-approval, because if you find a house you love, there isn't anything you can do until you have your pre-approval. So you might as well take care of that first before you find the house you fall in love with, and then you can't get it because you didn't get your pre-approval. So.
The third thing is give the seller a chance to move. So be flexible on when you take possession. If the seller doesn't necessarily, we just had a closing where the seller was moving into an apartment or a retirement center, and there's a wait list on a lot of the apartments for senior housing. I think she didn't get into her apartment until like the day we closed on a Friday, and that following Monday she was getting into her apartment. So that makes it a lot easier for the seller to be flexible on price, or take your offer over someone else's if you're flexible on when you can get into the property. When we close a property that's got possession other than at the time of closing, then we also make it clear with a document that spells out when possession is going to happen, even no later than a time on a specific date, if there got any rent involved, and who's paying insurance and utilities on the property, and what the expectation of the house to look like when it gets into the hands of the new buyer. Did I miss anything on that one, Jackie?
Sometimes there's like a deposit that's held at closing, just
Oh,
in
right.
case there's damage. So
Yep.
that's all spelled out in that as well.
What are we up to? Number
Number
four. Number 4. You're paying attention,
I am.
Greg. I'm impressed.
Because I was wondering how you're going to get through all these.
Right, I am too.
I was thinking I'd have too much time.
Okay.
Go in strong. Go in with your best offer. A lot of times people will say, well, or even a seller might say, I'm going to list my house higher. I'm going to
I'll come down.
Come down. Good example is the North Durand. We had that conversation, and the seller got aggressive with price because he wants it sold. And so that's why it's at $59.9, move-in ready. And I think when it was on the market before and it was far from move-in ready, it was at $69.9. And so that makes a huge difference. So the seller can list strong or aggressively, let's say, and the buyer can come in strong. Come in at your best price and stay there.
Well, we're seeing a lot right now where the houses are listed at their actual market value. So, by putting in an offer that's close to list price, you're still getting a good deal, because you could turn around and sell it in a couple of years and get your money back out of it. It used to be not so much. People were putting their houses on the market high, and so you wanted to try to get them low. That's not really happening right now.
Right. That's just because of the shortage of inventory too. Number 5, be the market expert. So not just the realtor should know what the market is, but the buyer. There's a lot of ways to understand the market, and you should do your research. That way when the realtor is telling you what's happening in the market, you have an idea what they're talking about.
So what should you be researching?
Oh gosh, there's so many websites, and they're not all as good as what the realtor's probably going to tell you, because we have actual access to the the facts, the true facts. But if you go on Zillow or Trulia, Realtor.com, they'll all give you an estimate of a house in a particular neighborhood, but they're not making adjustments. So if you did an estimate of my house on Michigan Avenue, you're not going to get the true value because it's a unique piece of property compared to the houses that sit behind it.
Yeah, a lot of people look at the Zillow estimates and those just they're not very accurate. So it's okay to look at those and kind of get an idea of what's going on in the neighborhood. But for true value, the realtor is going to have the best information.
Right,
So.
and then just pay attention to what's on the market. As a realtor, we can keep you up to date as listings come out on the market, and you can see, you'll get used to what you're going to pay. If you're going to pay $100,000 for a house, you'll get used to what and where you can spend $100,000, what you're going to get for $100,000, and what neighborhoods you're likely to be in for $100,000. So that will help in the negotiation. If someone's buying a house and I think they're paying more than they should be, you're going to find out from me that I think you're paying more. But it's up to you whether you continue with it. And then also, if you pay too much money, it may not appraise if you're financing it. But if you're paying cash, that's a whole other story. We're not seeing the cash as much as we did a couple of years ago. So a lot of cash transactions.
What does that mean?
I don't know. For some reason, when the market was down, even on the high-end homes, people were using cash, but they're not using it, at least in the transactions we've been doing, not quite as much as they were. I have no idea why.
I think maybe just people are getting a little bit more comfortable with going back to the banks.
Yeah, that could be.
So.
Don't include contingencies. Limit your number of contingencies. Make it always do your home inspection, and if you've got financing, but don't throw, contingent on, I don't know. I'm trying to think of one that was kind of bizarre recently. I haven't had any bizarre ones.
Why would you have any?
Well, I always recommend a home inspection. I think it's important that you do that.
Right.
Because if there's something
after that, what?
Well, in the bank, but there's always pest inspection, radon inspection, survey, contingent on confirming. I just wrote one confirming that it's habitable and the city has to go through it, knowing what the city inspections are. I mean, there's a ton of contingencies that could be out there. Do your due diligence. A lot of people are doing. I've had a few where the people are doing the home inspections before they even write the offer, so that they know exactly what they're getting. That you'll see more in a house that needs work as opposed to one that's
In good shape.
ready to move into. Don't ask for the world. Don't go in and ask for their furniture and ask for the picnic table in the backyard and.
Why not?
Because just remember, we're dealing with multiple offers. So if you're competing with someone else who's not asking for all that stuff.
What does it hurt? All they can do is say no.
Well, but there might be another offer out there
Right.
that doesn't have all that junk in there. And so because you've just made your offer more complicated, they're going to look at the other offer. And they'll look at that person as being easier to deal with. And quite frankly, if you want their furniture or some piece of furniture, which is not unusual, it should be negotiated outside the real estate transaction. Banks don't like to see that stuff in the purchase agreement.
Appliances.
Appliances are pretty typical, so I don't.
They usually stay, or
It depends. It mostly depends on how new they are. I've found that a lot of people, may have just purchased their washer and dryer within the last year and they want to take them with them because they really like them or something like that. But I'm also seeing where people will replace them if they're deciding to take them. It might be a cheaper version than what they're taking, but they will offer to replace them. So.
Number 8.
8.
Don't ask the seller to pay closing costs. Now, sometimes people need that, and that's going to probably be more. That's going to be more dependent on the income level of the person or the demographics of the person for a particular house. And if you're going to ask the seller to pay closing costs, make sure the purchase price reflects the difference. Because if if the house is listed for $100,000 and you're asking them to pay 3% in closing costs, that seller's only netting $97,000. So then go up to $103,000 or whatever the
Why?
math is. So that if you're competing with another, remember, this is all about competing with another offer and
I'm
assuming
looking to
you
save money, Laura.
I get that, but if it's the house you want and you've been looking and you haven't been able to find it, which
Right.
is really typical in this market,
Okay.
you're not going to be able to dicker and deal like you used to be able to. Number 9, find out what the seller really wants. There's different ways of doing that. You can talk to the neighbors, especially in this weather, because people, when it's not raining, people are out and about mowing their lawn. Ask the realtor. Your agent can ask the realtor. A lot of times, realtors will tell you what the seller's looking for. So,
You mean,
you can always ask. If they don't tell you, at least you've asked. What were you gonna say?
I'm not understanding that.
So in some cases, there might be a point, well, we can go back to the possession. So in some cases, the possession may be more important than what the actual sale price is. So if somebody's able to work with a person on when they can get into a house, they might get a better price on the house. So finding that out early can help with the negotiation.
Right, and often, every time there's a multiple offer, I'm representing the buyer, I will always call the agent and say, what do I need to do to make this happen? And then I take that back. And I'd say 90% of the time the agent will tell me, because they want to deal with me. They want to work with me. They might want to work with me over another agent that has written the offer.
And 90% of the time, what did they say?
Well, they'll tell me.
Offer more money?
No, they might say, we need to have, it might be money, might just be a couple thousand more.
Mhm.
Might be that the seller needs different possession, or might be that they didn't want to leave the lawnmower, or whatever
Okay.
thing might have been included in there. All right, the next one is,
One more.
okay, communicate clearly. Make sure that the seller knows what the buyer likes about the property and why it's perfect for that buyer. Number 11 is understand there will be counters, and if the buyer's firm on their price, just say firm. And then the last is respond. If you respond quickly and comply with dates, that makes the seller a lot happier than than a realtor who doesn't. And there's a lot of realtors out there that don't.
So it's firm.
Firm, well, sometimes. Depends.
Yeah.
I always say each day is a dynamic day and things can change.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 new listings, 750 Beverly Park Place. Really cute house, right on the corner of one of those,
Alley.
Yeah, it's right on the corner of an alley. A nice yard, fenced in yard. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. It's over 1,900 square feet, all for $139,900. They've gone through and painted. It's move-in ready. The other one is 114 North Strand, which we already talked about, move-in ready for $59,900, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. Give me a call at 780-3800.